So the second camera, this is the Panasonic 150, and so this is a little bit different than the Panasonic 40 that we have. And I'm going to go over some of the features of the camera. Okay, so you can see that we have two types of Panasonic cameras. We've got the Panasonic 150, we've got the Panasonic 40. You can use either one. They're relatively the same. This one has a ring-type diopter. On your viewfinder, you have what's called a diopter, and when you turn this ring, you're actually you're focusing the viewfinder to your eye, to the specifics and idiosyncrasies of your own eye. This one has a little slide-type diopter that helps you to set to focus your viewing system to the specifics of your own eye. Then this one has 3 MOS, and this one has 3 CCD, so you can look that up online, but there's differences between them. That's about the type of image sensor. This brings in 3 different passes for each color, and this is, I think it's a newer technology and closer to film. The camera has a hot shoe mount where you could actually attach a light or another onboard microphone. Let's take a little look at the Panasonic 150. The hot shoe mount is taken up with the external, the mic that comes with the camera. So if you wanted to, you don't have a dual hot shoe type situation, or the place for both the mic that came with the camera and another mic. You do have inputs for both, though. And notice this again is put into channel 2. There'll be settings for channel 1 and channel 2. You have your audio controls here, and here's your channel 1 and channel 2 setup and input on. So if you have number 2 on, if you're going into number 2, input 2 should be in the on position if you're going into input 2, because if it's in the off position, you will not get sound, okay? And here's input 1 is on. If we had another mic coming in, you could have another mic on a boom pole. And here you're having it left and right, or input number 1 and input number 2. As 2 separate channels that are not stereo. The mic power is plus 48V. We have the image stabilizing button that you can turn it on and off. See a number of buttons and switches. I'll just stop that down a little bit. Whoops. There we go. So you can see a number of buttons and switches on the side of the camera. This functions as a zoom, but it's locked. So you would have to push this into manual to allow this to manually zoom. The servo zoom will give you a nice powered, smooth zoom that you can use with the various controls. There's 2 sets of rockers on the camera. There's one up on the top here that you would use. And then in addition to that, on the other side of the camera, you can see there's a set of rockers here, which will allow you to zoom in from telephoto to wide. The camera has its own onboard mic. It's actually a pretty good mic if you don't want to assemble an additional mic. But if you do want to assemble additional mic, you can use a shock mount here. And there's 2 XLR ports for input number 1 and input number 2 on the front of the camera. And you can see that you have the ability to switch, again, from line to mic. And so these, if you're using a microphone, you'll need to put it in mic for these to be designated for the mic level. Microphone and line level are two different types of signals, two levels of intensities of signals. Okay, so you see you have the option to switch it from line to mic, and if it's in line, you won't get a very good signal, if any. It's two different intensities of signal that would come through, so you're designating the mic level, which is the appropriate level for mics. On the back of this camera, you can see this is the power switch, which you need to put into the on position for the camera to be on. And then to start to record, you press the red button. To stop record, you, again, to press the red button. On top of the camera, you can see you have on top of the camera, you can turn on or off your ability to press the record from the top and also the zoom controls. And then you have a handle zoom, 1, 2, 3, so that you can determine the pace of the zoom, how quickly you want to zoom in. On the back of your camera, you can see that you have a headphone jack here so that you can listen to your audio. There's also HDMI out, USB 2 out, component out, and then an adapter for the iris and focus zoom from the remote. On your viewfinder, you have what's called a diopter, and when you turn this ring, you're actually adjusting, you're focusing the viewfinder to your eye, to the specifics and idiosyncrasies of your own eye. To install your memory card, you lift up on the viewfinder, and then open this door and install your memory card here, pressing in, and then close it. Likewise, this is where the battery goes. We have two different size batteries, and then to release the battery, you push and eject the battery. We have a ring toggle, which toggles the focus or iris for this ring. So you can toggle between functionality of this ring, between focusing and iris control. On the side of the camera, you can see there are various functions, and we can talk about them. One is switching focus from auto to manual. That's probably very important. And if you're in auto mode, if you're in manual mode, you can actually push to trigger auto. There's focus assist, the ND filter, that's an important feature. ND filters bring down the amount of light by 1/4 stop, 1/16 of a stop, or 1/64 of a stop. So you can determine how much you want to apply, darkening your image. This is the manual or servo for the zoom. This is the manual or servo for the zoom. If servo, we talked about that before, but this is the manual or servo function of the zoom, which you can select between either having the camera battery-powered zoom or manual zoom on the ring here. And so on the 5D, let me click this. Okay, so then on the Panasonic 150, this is also a stereo microphone. And you have zoom controls here on the handle and also here. So there's different ways. If you have your hand here, you can adjust and zoom in. Or you can manually zoom if you switch it to manual. In order to use these functions, it has to be switched here to servo, and then these will function. This and also this will function. Okay, so then we can take a look at the gain and balance. You have focus controls.